Glad to have you with us here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. If we're going to be honest, things are not going very well with the Seattle Seahawks right now. Not well at all. A 4-game losing streak, now a losing record, and it's time to start thinking about the future, in particular 2024 and beyond. I am here to help. I'm offering my services to the Seattle Seahawks with a 5-step plan to fix the Seattle Seahawks next year. We'll go over it in just a moment. If you're like me and you're pissed the hell off right now with everything that we've seen with this team, like the video. If for whatever reason you're content and everything's fine and dandy, comment and tell me why you feel that way. Let us know. We'll get started with today's show. Step 1, clean house on the coaching staff. During the watch party on Sunday, we surveyed all the Seahawk fans that were watching, and it was about 70% of you, a resounding majority, that told us you were ready for the Seahawks to move on from Pete Carroll. And I don't know if it's necessarily fire Pete or force him to retire or a new role of some sorts, but clearly change of some sorts needs to happen. And starting fresh when it comes to this coaching staff. Because the truth of the matter is this team is too talented to be 6-7 right now and to be on a 4-game losing streak. And that falls directly on coaching. The team is there, the talent level is there, and they're not performing up to it. The coaches are not putting these players in the best position to succeed. If you go by the numbers right now, when you look at this Seahawks team at the moment, 17th ranked scoring offense with all those weapons, with having DK and Lockett and Noah Fant and JSN and the run game and all there. That's all they can do. 24th ranked scoring defense with what they've invested with guys like Leonard Williams and Draymond Jones and Bobby Wagner and all that. To me, it's just pathetic. And so I know we'll have plenty of time to discuss over the coming weeks about potential head coaching candidates, but just off the top of my head, there's 5 names in particular to watch who could be the next Seahawks head coach if this job were to open. Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions, Jim Harbaugh of the Michigan Wolverines, Brian Johnson in Philadelphia, Dan Quinn, who Seahawks fans are very familiar with, DC with the Dallas Cowboys, and Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Washington Commanders. Now, personally, if we're up to me, I would be leaning towards an offensive-minded coach, go in a different direction than what we've seen with Pete Carroll, and put this offense in the best position to succeed. But ultimately, that's a decision up to Jody Allen and potentially John Schneider and company as far as that goes. So let's start off with this question. What do you guys think? Should the Seahawks fire Pete Carroll? If you think they should, type HY for yes. Type HN for no. Hell yes, hell no. What do you think? Should the Seahawks fire Pete Carroll or not? Let us know what you think. Number 2, on our 5-step plan to fix the Seahawks is drafting a quarterback. And here's the reality, okay? I have been very upfront with you guys for a long time when it comes to Geno Smith. I like Geno. He did a lot for this franchise to get through the Russell Wilson transition. But he's never been the long-term answer. Even if that's what you wanted, as bad as you may like Geno Smith and be a big fan of his, nobody can honestly sit here and say to themselves that they believe that Geno is what the Seahawks need for years to come. And when you look ahead to what's available in the 2024 draft, this is the year to go get a quarterback because there's so many. It is a generational talent when it comes to what's available in this draft. Geno this past season, coming off a year where he's thrown for 64% completion percentage, 243 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. I'm just not content with that. I know the Seahawks can do better, and maybe you still bring Geno back in a mentorship role and to groom the next quarterback, similar to what we saw Alex Smith do with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. But I can't look at that and feel comfortable with that long term. Look at the quarterbacks that potentially could be available in this upcoming draft. Now, Caleb Williams and Drake Maye have already declared. Michael Penix Jr., he'll be going to the draft after the Sugar Bowl, after the college football playoff. Shedeur Sanders, still questionable if he'll come back to college or not. Could ultimately end up going back to Colorado, play for his dad, Deion. Jane Daniels just won the Heisman Trophy at LSU, and he might be the 4th quarterback off the board. You got J.J. McCarthy, who has been talked about a lot of potential. Bo Nix coming off a season where he was fantastic. The nation's leading passer in completion percentage. Just ask the College Football Playoff Committee about that. And then there's Quinn Ewers, who got the Texas Longhorns back. UT's back this year in the College Football Playoff for the very first time and has a chance to lead them to a national championship. Any one of those 8, please, please, please come to Seattle in some way, shape, or form. More to come here on Seahawks Today in just a bit. But first, let's tell you about today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players in any given category. You get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points, passing yards, catches, rushing yards, all sorts of different categories to choose from. I'm doing a little NFL college football mix and match here. I got Lamar to go more than 219.5 passing yards this week against Jacksonville. And then I'm looking ahead to the college football playoff. Our guy Michael Penix, they have more than 312.5 passing yards against the Texas Longhorns. If both those hit, I'm making $60 off $20 on Prize Picks. Play along with me today. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS to play along today. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, proud partner of Seahawks Today. Number 3 on our 5-step plan to fix the Seattle Seahawks is getting help at the line of scrimmage, both on offense and on defense. You know, when I watch this Seahawks team every single week, I am getting so frustrated, so tired of watching this team get dominated on both sides of the line. I mean, you can't even win against some of these elite teams if you don't have a shot up front just to make it a fair fight of some sorts. I'm tired of seeing this team, instead of being the bully, get bullied week in and week out like we've been seeing all throughout this season. And the folks at Pro Football Network, even with Abraham Lucas back, rate the Seahawks as the 29th best offensive line right now. You have your starting tackles, but Evan Brown's not your long-term solution at center. Probably need to do some upgrades in the interior of the offensive line, you know, those guard spots as well here. This just isn't going to last long-term. And if anything, you need some reinforcements behind those guys too, because we saw when the injuries happened, I mean, it was just bananas for this offensive line of trying to hold things together as far as that went. You look at the defensive line. Think about this. Leonard Williams, I do expect to be back and to get a long-term contract in Seattle. But Jaron Reed, he's no spring chicken. Mario Edwards, he's not a young cat by any means. You got to start thinking about investing in those positions and getting more pieces. The folks at Seahawks Wire already put out their first mock draft. We'll do a mock draft here pretty soon, but I want to give you just an example as far as investing on both sides of the line could go, just even in this draft. Look at this. In the first 6 rounds, in their mock draft, they have Seattle going with an offensive or defensive lineman in every pick but one, and that's getting a quarterback in the 4th round. Spencer Rattler, the former number 1 overall high school player in the country just a few years ago. So, I mean, you get like J.C. Latham from Alabama, McKinley Jackson on the defensive line. I mean, a tight end too, more on the tight end position as well. To me, I would be all in favor of a draft similar to this. So, we've talked a lot of draft stuff today. Who's a player the Seahawks should draft in 2024? Chime in. Let us know. Give me a name that comes to mind that you'd like to see be a Seahawk next year. Folks, we're talking about your Seattle Seahawks each and every day here on Seahawks Today with daily news and rumors. We're bringing you our live shows, watch parties, Q&A mailbags. If you love your Seattle Seahawks, if you want more content, not just during the season, but throughout the offseason, this is the only channel on YouTube giving you daily Seahawks content. Subscribe now for free for the latest happenings on your favorite team. We got you covered every day, right here on Seahawks Today. Number 4, this is a frustration for me watching the Seahawks, not just this year, but for the last several years. The way that we've seen this offense work under Pete Carroll, and even throughout different coordinators and everything, is a point of frustration for me is the lack of involvement with the tight end position. And to me, it's just dumb, the way that Seahawks do not get the tight end more involved in the offense. Because when you look right now across today's NFL, the best way to exploit a defense is by using the tight end. Look at Kansas City with Travis Kelce. Look at San Francisco with George Kittle. You look at Baltimore with Mark Andrews. The best teams in the league are the ones that get the most out of their tight end position. And the Seahawks have a very good tight end in Noah Fant, who's right there in their own backyard, who I think can be a top 10 tight end in this league. Problem is, they don't get him involved in this offense enough. How does a guy like Noah Fant not have any touchdowns whatsoever? Whether it's getting Noah Fant the football more or investing in a tight end next year in the draft of some sorts, this Seahawks offense needs to change and highlight that tight end position. Look at what's available this upcoming draft. Brock Bowser's from Georgia is phenomenal. Sanders from Texas. Bell from Florida State. There's some good tight ends to take advantage of. You're likely not going to keep both Noah Fant and Will Dissly this year. You're going to have to replace one of them. So I want to see the Seahawks draft a tight end, change up the look of this offense, and get that tight end position more involved to attack those defenses, because it just blows my mind that Seattle can't figure that out. Everyone else, it works for them, but Seattle can't put that together. What's the biggest issue facing the Seahawks right now at this very moment in the present? Chime in. Let me know what you think is the biggest issue facing this team at the moment. Last on our list, number 5 on our 5-step plan to fix the Seahawks is finding a dominant pass rusher. And throughout 2023, the pass rush has gone through lots of peaks and valleys. We've seen this pass rush look phenomenal. We've seen this pass rush look flat and just fall on its face and just be pathetic. A lot of inconsistencies. And one of the biggest reasons why we've seen the Seahawks be inconsistent is that Draymond Jones, who they paid all that money to this offseason, has not lived up to expectations. The Seahawks brought in Draymond Jones to be the pass rusher that was going to put them over the top, that was going to get them over the edge, right? And look what's happened since, okay? Instead, it's been a mystery of whether or not he's going to step up or not. I mean, it's just infuriating that the Seahawks can't get consistency for a guy they're paying that much out of. I mean, you look at some of the draft prospects out there, you know, Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Sweat. I mean, there's a number of guys when you're talking a different variety of positions, whether it's edge, defensive end, D-tackle. There's no reason why the Seahawks shouldn't invest. And I know free agents aren't very cheap, but, I mean, some notable names include like the Chris Joneses of the world and among others here. There is an opportunity for the Seahawks to really invest and make right at this position and put their best foot forward as far as I'm concerned. So that's what I'm watching for. We'll see if the Seahawks are listening. There's my 5-step plan. Let's see what Seattle does to really get this thing going, get back on track. If you enjoyed today's show, like the video. Let's do our part to get the Seahawks team back on track, and I'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today.